Goeiedag, good day, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world.
I've been looking around for salvation. I've been looking around for the truth. All around me I see frustration, and I looked all over till I found you. I sit and listen to your stories, and you're telling me, please don't worry. A lot in this world you should know, and love in life is where you should go. If you're looking for somewhere to go, if you're looking for someone to know, if you're looking for someone to guide you, then love in life will guide you. I know the life outside is so...
Goeienaand, good evening, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world, and welcome to tonight's live stream. And tonight we're talking to Nick Howarth, who's a health coach. And we're going to be talking about his business, which is helping people lose weight and, as a result, sort out ailments that they might have. And what Nick does, which is really interesting, and we're going to be talking about this, is he actually promotes his business through the internet, and in particular, WhatsApp. So let's get Nick Howarth on and find out exactly what it is that he does. Here we go. Hi, Nick.
Hey, Scott. How you doing, man?
Excellent, buddy. Excellent. How are you?
I'm also excellent. I'm always excellent.
Fantastic. All right. Let's get the show on the road here, shall we? Now,
Yeah, let's
Nick,
do that.
before we get into your business and how it all started, tell me a bit about yourself, because you have a sporting background, don't you?
Yes, I do. I have a sporting background. I grew up as a runner. I was international standard. However, obviously with apartheid at the time, we weren't allowed to compete internationally. But I had I'd run under 4 minutes for a mile when I was 16.
Wow.
I'd run very good times, and I'd won SA titles and so on as a youngster. And I've always been into sport. It's like sport, exercise and sport have been part of my life for 50 years probably. I'm 55 now. I started running when I was about 5 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm a cyclist now.
Which school did you go to?
I went to Springs Boys High.
Okay, so you must have all the long distance records at that school.
I still do, in fact. I actually,
I can believe that.
I was actually invited to the school about 3 or 4 years ago as their guest of honor at their honors evening, and I had to talk to the kids about life and success in life and the rest of it, and they presented me with one of their latest programs for their athletics meet that they had, and all my records were still there, and I was like, that was like more than 35, 40 years ago,
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
I tell you what's so coincidental is that the only thing I could do at boarding school, I was at Michael House, was run.
Oh, yeah?
I was a long distance runner. And
really? Yeah.
I had
Okay.
all the records there. I had but we had the 800 meters and the 1500 meters. But my best time in 800 was 2 minutes 8, and
Okay, that's not bad.
my best time in the 1500. I'm not talking the mile. The mile's a lot longer, My best time
Yes.
in 1500 was 4 minutes 24. So,
That's not bad at all.
well, you're in a totally different league. I mean, if you can do a 4
I
minute,
was. I
wow,
was in a totally different league.
well, that's amazing. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
loved running.
I'm still competitive. I ride a bicycle, and I'm still very competitive. It's just in my blood, the kind
Yeah.
of person I am. I like competing. I like being competitive, and yeah,
Do you run
I like.
races like the Two Oceans?
I don't run anymore. No, I
Okay,
only ride bicycles now. Yeah,
okay, right.
yeah.
All right.
It,
Uh,
it running tends to take its toll on the body. There's a lot of impact.
yeah,
So it's like,
yeah,
cycling is a lot. Is not. I wouldn't say it's easier. It's just lighter on the body.
yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when you run competitively because you're really pushing your legs and your knees will get
That's
hammered.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're pounding that road. There's a lot of impact.
yeah, exactly. All right. Now let's get into um, your business. Now you started this business in about nearly 10 years ago now.
That's right.
Okay, so how did you get into this?
So as we were just saying, I've always been sporty. I've always exercised, and I just was gaining weight, and I was training hard and
Mm,
doing all the right things as far as exercise went. But I was probably about 17 kilograms overweight, and I just couldn't seem to lose it. So my wife approached me with a diet. I wouldn't call it a diet. It's more of a way of life, and she said, okay, so this is what we should do. And I was like, okay, well, we're gonna have to try something, because I was really not in a good place at all. The other thing as well about professional sportsmen is that a lot of them become diabetic because of all the sugary little sachets that they drink on their rides. And there's a lot of sugar and carbohydrates that go through a sportsman's body, especially an endurance sportsman, and
right.
that was taking its toll on me. And a lot of them, when they leave their sport or retire, they actually become diabetic. So I knew I was heading down that road, and so I started doing this, and it worked. And within 3 months, I'd lost 17 kilograms, and I was competing at a completely different level to what I had been for the last few years, and I was feeling extremely healthy. I stopped getting sick, stopped getting the flu. My immune system was very strong. And there were so many benefits that I felt from this that I started telling my friends about it and helping some of my friends with it. But it was mostly aimed at sportsmen at that point. I thought, oh, well, let me help my fellow sportsmen, and
Right.
I started coaching sportsmen on this all around the world, and a lot of guys are doing the Ironman, and there was even one called the Alaska Man in Alaska, which is in the ice, and it's quite a brutal race.
Yeah.
And but I found that sportsmen generally think they know it all already. I was one of them, definitely. So they're very hard to coach, and they're very set in their ways, and very old, a lot of them are very old school. So I started looking at just helping, because then I had people approaching me saying, I just need to lose weight. I'm just some ordinary guy and or
Yeah.
some ordinary girl, and I want to lose weight. And so we started homing more into that side of things, which actually was a real education for us, because it got us really looking at what it is. Why do people get fat?
Yeah.
Why do people get fat? Why, like 100 years ago, you wouldn't have seen it. Even 50 years ago, you wouldn't have seen it.
Right.
And suddenly, everybody's at least a little bit overweight, and what's the cause of that? So we started looking into it more and more, and did a lot of our own research. And there's a sea of information out there, and a lot of it is junk. And
Yeah.
you've got to pick the good stuff. You've got to pick the stuff that's practical,
Yeah.
can be used, by the average man, and is workable and is not damaging to the body. So that's the route that we took, and we tested a lot of it on ourselves. And I say we, I'm talking about myself and my wife. So we tested a lot of this on ourselves, and found a very, very workable way of getting anybody through a program to better health and like sure weight loss, and so that's how it all evolved into what we have now. It's also a proof is in the pudding kind of thing, where you try it out and it works, and it's like, well, that worked. There's no doubting it. It's not like you probably have to have a bit of faith when you start the program, but it definitely becomes more of a certainty, once you see the results and so on, So it's
Is that your wife?
It was yes. She's
Tell her
bringing me a
to
cup of
say
coffee.
hi.
Hello. Scott says hello. She says hello. I don't think you can hear her because I got this mic on.
Okay. Now, getting back to your research that you did,
Yeah.
one of the things apparently that became the basis of your work was the repairing of the endocrine or hormone
Yeah.
disorders through providing a healthy diet. How does that all work?
Okay, so the endocrine system is a communication system in the body. So the glands send signals to one another through the use of hormones. So they make, send, and receive hormones as messages. So what starts happening is, as people live life and are out there in the environment, eating the food that's on the shelves, being exposed to toxins in the environment, in the water, and different areas, parts of the endocrine system starts to shut down, because like if it's going to send and receive messages, there has to be some kind of a receptor on that gland that receives the message. Now those receptors start shutting down, and the reason for that is that glands are mostly made of fatty tissue.
Right.
And as we know, fatty tissue are a magnet for endocrine disruptors, which is like toxins, medications, pesticides, herbicides, all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And so they start to shut down and they don't work properly. So these hormones go into the system and they're not communicating. Like, if you want to have an organization, which comes from the word organism, so because it has life, and people need to communicate between one another, and people need to receive communications, and the better the communication systems are within an organization, the more successful it is.
Sure.
And it's the same in the body. So if somebody's not listening or not receiving a communication, he's not being as functional as he could be, and that's what happens with the endocrine system. You see, so that's how the endocrine system starts to shut down, and people get diabetes, because diabetes is merely just the insulin receptors on the cells stop receiving insulin, so they don't receive insulin anymore, and as a result of that, there's no nutrients going into the cell, because that's one of the functions of insulin, is to take nutrients and enter the cell through that receptor, and so that that nutrient can enter the cell with oxygen, fires like a combustion engine, spits out a fatty acid, and you start moving your body along like a motor vehicle, and the thing that stops happening is those nutrients stop entering the cell. Hence, the person gets hungrier and hungrier, because he's not being fed, actually, although he's eating lots of food because he's constantly hungry, but he's not getting the nutrients because there's some kind of insulin resistance, and that's what insulin resistance is. So that's one example of a breakdown of the endocrine system.
Right. Okay. Now, from your own research, you started helping family and friends, etc., etc. Now,
Yeah.
Tell me about the network and how it was created.
It's quite interesting. It has various prongs. So I'm very active on social media. I'm very
Right.
active, all over the place with successes that I get from my clients. So, but mostly it's word of mouth, and it has literally spread worldwide. So let's say you've got some guy he's got high blood pressure. He's pre-diabetic. He's got high cholesterol, and he's generally not doing well in life. He's overweight, possibly obese, and he gets onto our program, and a month later, he's lost 10 kilograms, which people can see visually, and his blood pressure's close to within range or within range. His cholesterol's within range. His blood sugars are within range, and people start to ask questions like, "Wow, how did you get that right?" And they go, "Well, it's this company called Best Body Health Coach," and so they contact us, and then we do an assessment on them and explain how the program works. And because it's so practical and it's based on good research, people get it. They go, yeah, okay, I'm in. Send me the invoice. I'll start.
Yeah.
And so we get that guy started. In the meantime, the other guy is still telling his other friends about it. So we get about 2 to 3 new clients from every client. And that's how the network just grew. It's like
Wow.
we have people in South America, we have people in North America, we have Canada, we have Australia, New Zealand, China, Japan, India, Italy, Spain, Norway, Sweden, South Africa, obviously, and it just continues to spread like that, and it's based on results. I'm a big believer in delivering the product that you promised.
Yeah.
If you it's one thing having a business and making money. That's actually not the purpose of your business. The purpose of your business is to deliver the product that your business is promising to deliver, and for that you get paid, and you should be getting paid well for it as well if it works well.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Now,
Yeah.
you've got 5 coaches working for you now around the world, haven't you? And they're all basically
Yes.
online.
Yes, that's right. We're all online. It's very difficult to take phone calls all the time because we have so many clients. But
Yeah.
we stay in very close communication over WhatsApp or Signal or one of those kind of platforms. Depending, the Americans don't like WhatsApp so much. The Chinese like MeWe, and those are probably the platforms that we work on is WhatsApp, Signal, and the Chinese platform. I forget the blooming name of it now. Anyway, so we send out a broadcast in the morning to all of our clients and say, good morning, how are you doing? Based on their time zone, obviously. We have different broadcast groups. And then that gets the communication out there that, we've made contact now for the day. And then each client knows that they should be sending us a report. What did they have to eat? How are they feeling? What are they running into? Like you'd have all sorts of things come up as the body starts to change. When the body starts healing, you tend to be like going back up the dwindling spiral and running into things that have put you down there in the first place. So if these things start to show their head, and so we get them through that, we handle them, and that normally happens for like a week or two, and then it becomes very plain sailing that people start having like a feeling of well-being. They see the results in weight loss and so on, depending on their endocrine problem. Some people lose weight faster than others.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
before we actually went to air, we just briefly touched on a product that I came across recently,
Yes.
called the LifeWave patches, and
Yes.
those patches have had a huge impact on my vision. I suffer from
Incredible.
macular degeneration, and
All right.
I've, I,
What is that? What is that macular degeneration? What does it do?
macular degeneration is very common in old age, and what it is, it's where the macula at the back bubbles. It actually separates from the back wall of your eye, and
Oopsie.
I don't know if you've seen these little the opticians have like little lines going back, sort of crossing,
Yeah.
and if you look at that, if you've got a problem, the lines distort, and that's why they use that, and that's associated with macular degeneration. But it's a very, very dangerous ailment, because I'm actually blind, totally blind in my my left eye, sorry, because of
Yeah.
macular degeneration. I've now got a scar over the macula, so I've just got like a big black blob in the middle. But on my
No,
right
no.
eye, I was taking injections for about 2 years, and what they do is they inject directly into your eye this stuff, and it supposedly helps treat the macula or stop the eye breaking up.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is that you get floaties, which are, when they put the
Yeah.
injection in, there's little bits, and you start seeing these little bits. And I stopped taking these injections about 3 years ago, and luckily my vision didn't get substantially worse. But I'd got to a point where, for example, if I went to a coffee shop and I looked around the coffee shop, people 20 yards away from me, I couldn't
It's
recognize
horrible.
people. But now I can. And this is after
Wow.
taking the patch for 3 weeks. And I see Marlena's here. Marlena's my PA.
Yeah.
And as I said to you earlier, she was in a wheelchair when she left home, and now she's actually walking around the shops, and she's been using these patches now for a month. So
Holy moly.
it works in all sorts of different ways, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, because stem cells basically fix anything in the body. There's not anything in particular that they go for. You know?
Yeah, and the way this works is it just reactivates your stem cells. So, it's non-invasive, and it's just getting your cells working again.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. So now let's get back to, and I see a huge complementary overlap with what you're doing here for this. So I think it's something that you could actually have a look at. So
Totally.
let's get back to these 5 coaches. So you've got one who speaks Spanish, and he deals with people in South America and Spain.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us about how you got these coaches involved, and how this whole thing is basically?
Yeah, it was again networks. Like people who'd been clients of ours. We had a very wealthy, very very wealthy guy from Argentina contact us regarding our program. He'd heard about our program, and he wanted to do it. He wanted to pay for him and his mom and his wife and the CEO of his company, and he wanted to get 4 programs, but he needed it to be delivered in Spanish. So I was like, yeah, sure, we can do that, and then started looking through my database at who'd gone through my program and, done well on the program and can speak English and Spanish, So I found a Mexican girl who'd done very well, and we got her involved. We asked her, would you like to do this? And she was like, yeah, she'd love to do it. And we just trained her. We got her through all of our training program that we have. We've got a lot of videos and a lot of documents that they study, and then got her coaching these guys, basically interning under. Actually, she interned under my wife, but so she interned through these guys, and then this particular guy has contacts again, networks, all over the place in North America, South America, all over the place in Europe. And he just started piling people in. He's actually talking to me now about going to the US and talking to 450 staff members and getting all of them on the program. So I'll be very glad to do that. And he's rolling in the money, so I'm happy to do that. And it's not only about the money, like I said. It is actually, this is such a fulfilling thing, Yeah. Anyway, I'm drifting off the point here. The coaches, So that's how I got the Spanish coach involved. And the Portuguese coach, same thing. And then the guy in the UK, he's actually a personal trainer who we were using to help people that wanted that as well. They wanted to get fit, because generally when guys get on our program, they go, I'm full of energy now and I'm feeling great, and what kind of exercise can I do? And they've never done a day's exercise in their life before, but suddenly now everything's come to life. And he was doing that for us, and I said to him, look, you can actually make good money doing this if you want to, and so I put him through the program as well, and he had to lose a little bit of weight. He was a little bit overweight, although he was exercising every day. And he did lose, and he was a bit skeptical in the beginning, and then after a month, his wife was on it, his mother's on it, his godmother's on it, about 5 of his clients from the personal training is on it, and that's how we get all our coaches. We just speak to people and say, this is such a rewarding job to have, to see somebody change in front of your eyes. It's great. Guys who, I've had guys who've had brain fog. One guy had a guy in Norway. He's actually not Norway, in Spain. He's a Norwegian guy living in Spain, and he'd had brain fog for 10 years, and brain fog is, and he lost his business. He was the top SEO guy in Spain. So he was making an absolute, in Spain, in Norway, making an absolute fortune at it, and then lost his entire business because he couldn't sit in front of his computer for more than 5 minutes, and he was like, he just needs to lose a bit of weight. And then he started telling me about the brain fog, and I did a bit of research, and brain fog really is just diabetes of the brain. It's just the receptors in the brain are not accepting nutrients and oxygen. And the brain needs a consistent flow of nutrients and oxygen. It's not something that stores nutrients or oxygen like the rest of the body does.
Yeah.
That's why, if you cut your jugular, you die almost immediately because the nutrients just shut off. So after about 3 weeks on our program, he was like saying, I'm having like moments of clarity here, there's like things are changing. And then I put him on quite a strict regimen of food and supplements at that point. And within a week, it was gone completely, and it's never come back. I still talk to the guy on a regular basis because he's actually also a cyclist. So we banter a little bit on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Because he's a mountain biker, I'm a roadie, so there's and so he's never had it come back. It's never come back. Like 10 years, he's basically given up on life. This guy, So these are all like great stories,
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned that you use WhatsApp, which I think is a fantastic platform for a group which you have a particular interest. And just with the LifeWave patches, we actually have a WhatsApp group too. So if anyone's just joined or they've got something they want to find out more about, they can just ask there. And you've got people who, been working in the area for years who help. So it's a really powerful medium to use.
Absolutely. WhatsApp is great. It's immediate as well.
Yeah.
It's not like emails are email snail mail now.
It is. Yeah. It takes too long.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, just talking about your program. What are the major benefits that people gain by going through it?
There are so many. So, you have various comorbidities that people have these days because of the food that's on the shelf and so on. But I think the main thing is the education that they get, coupled with experiencing what they're being educated on. It's not just like a theory that they're getting. So they it says, okay, so if you take this and this and this, your blood pressure will drop, and really blood pressure problems are only based on this, and they go, okay, whatever, I understand, and then they start it and their blood pressure drops. So they start to gain an understanding of how their own body works. By the end of the 2 months, they're properly educated on how their body works, and they can decide then whether they want to continue or not. We give them a new program at the end of our 2-month health program, which they can continue living life with, and it makes it a lot easier. And it's not like being in the army kind of thing, like the 2-month program might be a little bit like. So as far as health benefits go, it's endless. Peripheral neuropathy is something we've handled. I've got, there's certain things that I can't really talk about publicly because you're not allowed to, because of regulations stating you're not allowed to say anything about these certain things, But we handle. There's just so many things that come up. Guys have come back to me with something as small as like, I used to have bleeding gums for the last 5 years, and I've been on your program for a month now, and I haven't had bleeding gums since I started.
Wow.
Yeah. I've had this lower back problem that's been giving me trouble, and now, like when I wake up in the morning, it's not there anymore. I don't know why. I don't have headaches anymore. My shoulder's feeling better, and obviously the weight loss. The weight loss is massive. When you get it right, when you handle this endocrine problem correctly, weight loss is inevitable. You don't have to exercise to lose weight. It helps. There are certain exercises that help you lose weight, and I exercise, and I've got to try and keep my weight up because of the amount of exercise I do. I don't have to keep my weight down. My weight goes too low. But so I've had people on my program lose 29 kilograms in 2 months.
Wow.
Yeah, 29 kilograms in 2 months. On average, I get with a male, a very conservative figure is about 15 kilograms in those 2 months on a male.
Yeah.
And on a female, probably between 10 and 12. Females they lose weight slower than men do. Men just basically melts off them, But that's probably what most people like the most is because they start getting compliments about the way they look and how much weight they've lost and so on. But that's not really what we're looking for. We're looking to give the guy better longevity, a better quality of life. I did an assessment on a guy this morning, and he's 39 years old, and I asked him, so with all this trouble going on in your body, like, where do you see yourself at 50? And he was like, I don't know. I don't even know if I'll be around at 50 with the way things are going.
Yeah.
I can almost guarantee that if he does what we do on our program, he'll be around at 50 and living a very, very high quality kind of life. Just is. It is about the stuff that you put in your body. That's what your cells are built on. So it's obvious that you're going to recover if you start putting the right stuff in your body. If the damage isn't too far gone, of course, but it rarely is.
Yeah. Now, what is the key ingredient to helping people get healthy? Well, what's the sort of the mainstay of this whole process?
You mean as on a technical point of view, or
I guess consuming.
Okay, yeah, okay. So from a technical point of view, the crux of it is to keep. There's two hormones which are the fat making hormones. The one is insulin. So if your insulin levels are high, you're not losing weight, you're gaining weight. And if your cortisol levels are high, they turn your protein into sugar, which then spikes your insulin, hence you're not losing weight. So those are the two things that need to be handled. And that's quite easy to handle, but you've got to handle them through that part of the endocrine system, which is not receiving messages or whatever, it's not doing what it's supposed to do. Right. You have to handle that part as well. That speeds up the weight loss. It's quite easy to get those insulin levels down and keep them down as long as possible for the body to start healing. We were talking about stem cells earlier. We get guys doing when they're quite far into the program, and this is totally a voluntary thing. We give them the option whether they want to do a fast or whether they don't, whatever they want to do. So we build them up to that if they want it. And if you fast for 48 hours, your body starts to generate stem cells, and parts of the body start to heal. So that's why I was interested in your product. If we can put this on steroids, excuse the word because that's probably the worst thing for the endocrine system, but if we could put this on steroids, then like with this product that you have, I'm wondering what would happen. It would be quite interesting to see. I'd like to give it a bash.
Well, we'll certainly help you do that. And look, I
yes.
just want to say that what I love about this product is that there are no injections, there are no pills you take. It's totally non-invasive, and it does. I mean, it regenerates your stem cells, and they, as you know, they work anywhere. They can heal anything. It's
I'd
just
be interested
incredible.
to have a look at that.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to have a look at that, definitely. I mean, it's anything that's practical and works, I'm interested in.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, after this live stream, I'll take you through a few things. Now,
okay.
Now so we're talking about with your system, basically putting people on a better road, and how does that apply when it comes to food and natural supplements and minerals and stuff like that? That must play quite a major role in this.
It is the major thing. So it's based on home cooked meals. We don't let them go to restaurants while they're on the program, because restaurants, it doesn't matter how upper class they may be, they would still be using. They're not going to cook their meat in coconut oil or olive oil, or they're going to use their sunflower oil or their canola oil, and with all these like highly processed seed oils, which are extremely bad for you and very inflammatory and cancer cause, full of carcinogens, and so we don't allow that. So we make the people eat at home. We make them eat organic. So you can go, we've heard organic. It's like it's a fad, but it actually isn't, because there are so many carcinogens and endocrine disruptors. Carcinogens being, just need to give a definition for anybody that doesn't know what that is. It's a cancer-causing agent within food or in anything. So that's what a carcinogen is. So so these things are full of carcinogens. They're full of endocrine disruptors, which what I explained earlier disrupts the message system, the communication system in the body between glands and receiving hormones and so on. You know, a good example of that. Let me just quickly steer off for a second. A good example of how the body reacts to a broken communication system. So when a woman goes into menopause, for instance, that means the ovaries have run out of eggs. There's no more eggs, but there's a small gland next to the pituitary gland in the brain which sends a signal to the ovaries to say, hey, release another egg. And there's no eggs to release. So it sends a message back that there's no egg released. And this gland sends another message going, release another egg. And it drives the body crazy, this backwards and forwards communication system. And then the adrenal glands try to take over from the ovaries and start pushing cortisol in the system, which is why you find a lot of women in menopause start to gain weight around their hips and around their tummies. They start to get like a little bit of a pendulous belly, and they get passion handles and all of this. It's because of the cortisol that gets pushed into the system, because of it's like almost like this communication system between this little gland in the brain and the ovaries. It goes insane, you know.
Yeah.
And that's why some women have really a bad time with menopause. Whereas on this program, we kind of we take the sting out of it. I'm not going to say we're going to cure menopause. I don't know if that can be done, but it takes the sting out of it. Like my wife's been through menopause, and I didn't even notice. To be quite honest with you, it was like I didn't even notice anything had happened. You know, so yeah, that's the thing. So anyway, back to the food. So we do use supplements, but we use organic, like herbal type supplements that handle different parts of the endocrine system. And we also use a lot of electrolytes, because you find in normal carbohydrate laden commercial food out there, it's laden with MSG, which basically is there so that you can't taste the salt content in it. So, you know, like if you have a slice of American pizza, it has about 5,000 milligrams of sodium in it. And it's full of MSG so that you don't taste it. However, sodium, your daily recommended allowance of sodium is like 2,300 milligrams, and here you're having 5,000 milligrams in one slice of pizza.
Wow.
You know, and that's what causes high blood pressure, because what happens then is the salt pushes the potassium content out of the cell. And the potassium is what keeps your blood pressure low, keeps your heart rate low, it regulates a lot of functions in the body, a lot of neurological functions in the body. And so it pushes the potassium out of the body. And then the person gets high blood pressure, and they put the guy on some kind of high blood pressure medication, whereas all they need to do is up the potassium intake, you know. And so that's the kind of, those are the kind of things that we use. We give the person the essentials that his body's supposed to have anyway, you know, and we take out the elements that the body's not supposed to be taking in, you know, like things that are full of carcinogens, the sugar, the highly processed carbohydrates, and that kind of thing, you know. So we take that all out of the body, out of the diet, and then the guys start to recover, because then obviously the insulin levels go down, and all the other things that are connected to that, all those numbers start coming into range again, you know.
Yeah. Well, I think our food, the quality of our food is actually on a decline, because there's so much crap in it now.
I'm telling you, it's crazy.
When I think of what they're now suggesting, that people should eat bugs and worms and crap like that instead of meat because of climate change. What are your thoughts on that?
3D printed food.
Yeah, 3D printed food. What are your thoughts on all that?
It's you know, yeah, I don't know. There's without sounding conspiracy theory-ish, you know, there are definitely people who are looking to make some kind of a financial yield out of man not doing well, you know, out of man being sick.
Exactly.
And and I think they are, I'm not going to say the name of the organization, but they control the food and the drugs on this planet. And it's quite interesting that they control both of those elements. And they recommend what we should be eating, and they recommend what drugs we should take when we get ill. So that to me is what's going on at the moment, and you get the CEOs of these types of organizations who come from massive big food or big agri types of organizations or big pharma organizations, and now they switch across. So it is a little bit worrying that. So that's why we just take people back to basics, where you just eat normal food, and lots of it, lots of greens, lots of vegetables that are healing, that have healing qualities, and know which vegetables are good, because we get told a lot of stuff, and this is like for instance, we get told a lot of stuff, like for instance with fruit. So fruit has vitamins and it has minerals and it's very nice and it tastes good and everything, but it's laden with fructose, and then you'll get some line that tells you that fructose are actually good for you. Whereas fructose cannot be processed by the liver, and they literally just turn straight into fat on the liver. So it gives you a fatty liver, and so, but somebody's pushing that line. Somebody's saying these things are good for you. You should eat these things. Same with vegetables. There's certain vegetables that lots of people eat that they don't know are full of carcinogens. They're extremely bad for you, and they're going to make you sick, So there are certain vegetables that don't and will actually have healing power. So we've kind of worked out which are which, and that's what we put the people on, and we see the results. So we must be doing something right. I'm not saying this is a be all and end all, this program that we have, but we have something that works, and it works standardly. So it's like we're sticking to it.
Well, obviously your success demonstrates that people are getting benefits from it, and I just want to say, it's interesting with this these LifeWave patches. 2 years ago, their turnover was $30 million. Last year, it was $300 million.
Tenfold. That's the way.
Tenfold increase. Yeah. I mean, just think about that. So obviously, people are finding a huge benefit from it. Now, just getting back to your program, the type of ailments like diabetes you've mentioned, and bleeding gums you've mentioned, and brain fog you've mentioned. What other types of ailments do you actually find success in healing in people?
Eczema. Let me just have a look here. I'll tell you now. there are so many. It's just crazy what it does. So you, like for instance, polycystic ovarian syndrome. You have a lot of women who've been on the pill or been drinking a lot of tap water or whatever it might be, and they start developing these cysts on their ovaries, and it's due to too much testosterone or too much estrogen, and as a result, they can't fall pregnant, or their pregnancies fail, or they have terrible menstrual cycles. They start growing facial hair. All these types of things start happening. So that's been handled. We have sorry, I'm just having a look through all these ailments here. So you get edema in the ankles, in the legs, swelling of the legs, that kind of thing. You get flaky skin on your eyebrows. That we've had that go away. We've had. So if you have a look at someone's tongue, you can actually tell quite a bit about what's going on with the endocrine system. So, like for instance, their tongue has a white film over it with a crevice down the middle. You know that the guy has a liver problem. So as soon as the guy's liver starts repairing itself, which is funnily enough, usually within 2 weeks, the liver's like 50% done.
Wow.
It's 50% burned the fat off that it's supposed to have done. So yeah.
The liver is one of the organs that can actually repair itself, isn't it?
Yeah. And unless it's like completely like cirrhosis is set in and there's too much scarring or whatever, but it would still be better off, So that crack, if you got that crack on your tongue, there's something going on with your liver, and
right.
So that disappears, and the yellowing in your eyes disappears. People get dizzy when they stand up too quickly. That goes away. Get out of breath or unusually out of breath when they start climbing stairs.
Yeah.
That goes away. Inflammation in the body, like aching bones, aching muscles, aching joints, that goes away. Headaches. The things the headaches that we've dealt with on this program, and we've had guys who've been like on 10 painkillers a day trying to handle his headaches, and 3 weeks into the program he's never had another headache, kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's also things like you get twitching muscles and twitching eyelids. That goes away. I'm just trying to think. I just thought of something now, which was quite an interesting one that we had. I'm just trying to look for it here. Sleep. Yeah. The person's sleep pattern starts to get back to the cycle that it's supposed to be in.
Yeah.
You find, in modern life, we live in quite stressful times with social media and the speed of communication and the speed of production and the pressure on people at work, and their body starts to go out of sync, especially the adrenal glands. So the guy finds himself waking up at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning and can't go back to sleep. And that's purely a stress-related thing. It's just cortisol being pumped into the system. Wakes the guy up. It subsides by like 6 o'clock when the sun's coming up, and then he starts dozing off as the birds start singing. There's things like guys have a lot of cramping in their muscles, or cramping in their calf muscles, particularly. That's also related to stress. So itchy skin. When the people have a lot of itchy skin, that's a liver-related thing. Constipation. People get grouchy when they get hungry. You can't go near the guy. It's just a liver thing. The guy's got liver problems.
Yeah.
You get kidney stones. You can, unless it's too far gone, but you can break kidney stones down with a good diet. And you can actually prevent kidney stones with a good diet.
Yeah.
So there's back pain, mid back pain, neck pain. A lot of the neck pain and back pain is caused by the liver. There's a big nerve that runs up next to the spine inside the rib cage, and when the liver expands because of fat on it, it presses on this nerve, and it makes your right shoulder and your right shoulder blade and the right side of your neck sore. So the guys insist that it's an old rugby injury, but it's actually liver. And as soon as the guy gets on the program, his liver starts to decrease in size, and it takes the pressure off that nerve. The pains go away. So
fantastic.
it's just endless. Yeah, it's just endless. We were surprised almost daily with people saying, "Hey, you know what? I don't have this anymore." It's like, oh, great.
Yeah. Now, Nick, how can people contact you? I mean, what's the best way people who want to get involved in your program?
Email or WhatsApp is the best way. They can contact us through our website.
What's your website?
It's www.bestbodyhealthcoach.com.
I'm just typing this down. I'll actually put this below the actual video so that people can get you on there. And do you have like a name of a WhatsApp group that people can go and look at?
I don't have a WhatsApp group, no. But they can WhatsApp me directly. My number's 082
082
859
859
1904.
1904. I'll just repeat that. 082 859 1904. And that's obviously +27 for South Africa.
Yeah, +27 for South Africa. Or email is also Nick, that's NICK.
Yep.
At bestbodyhealthcoach.
Okay. .com.
.com, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
And the funny thing is about this, just like one last little thing, is our slogan is "Get your best body back."
Yeah.
And a lot of people think that's crazy, like how can I get my body back that I had when I was 21, And I have my body back. I weigh the same as I did when I was in matric, it's like you can get it back,
Wow. Well, I got to tell you, I'm about I suppose 5 to 10 kilos overweight. But I used to be, as a long distance runner, we talked about at the very beginning, I used to be about, I'd say about low 70s, 70 kilos. And yeah, it's amazing how as you get older, you just pack it on.
You do pack it on, and just a result of the accumulation of these endocrine disruptors. That's purely what it is. There's nothing more. I mean, it's hard to escape them. Even if you do eat healthy and you try to live a healthy lifestyle, it's hard to escape what's going on in the environment. There's a lot of stuff in the air, there's a lot of stuff in the water. And even if you're drinking bottled water, you're still showering, so there's a transdermal thing going on. There's like the water's going into your skin, and it's I mean, you don't want to be too anal about everything, because otherwise you're just going to stop living.
Yeah.
But you do need to be aware of these things so that you can keep them down to a minimum. But it literally is just that. It's just an accumulation of these toxins and other things. Like for instance, let's take a look at coffee, for instance. If you don't drink organic coffee, you're drinking coffee that probably has about 40 to 50 different kinds of herbicides and pesticides in it. It's and then you got to look at it going, wow, so it's not just the caffeine I've got to worry about. Same with wine, like 50 to 60 different kind of pesticides and herbicides. But I only have one glass of wine a night. Okay, so that's 365 glasses in a year. Over 10 years, how many is that? It's going to start building up in the body,
Yeah. Alrighty.
Cool.
Nick, thank you so much for joining us tonight and telling us about your business, and congratulations.
Thank you.
And good luck.
Yeah, thank you, and I'm definitely interested in hearing about your thing as well, those patches. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, well, look, what I'll do is after we've wrapped up this live stream, I'll give you a call back and I'll just run through a few things with you.
Fantastic.
Alrighty. Take care and chat to you soon.
You too, Scott.
Cheers.
Yeah, cool, Scott. Go well, mate.
Okay. Bye. All right, guys, that was Nick Howarth, and we were talking about his health program. And, well, wouldn't it be great if they started using LifeWave patches too? Anyway, I'll have a chat to Nick about that now. And have a great evening, guys, and we'll see you tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Johannesburg time, for our next live stream. Take care, and bye for now.